Okay, so we are going to be tie-dyeing the masks that we made. And this is the kit that we're using. You could use any one that you want. Just make sure that you follow the instructions that are inside the pack. The instructions will tell you how to mix up your dye and how long they will last for. And they also give you suggestions as to how to fold them. Now, I let the kids fold their own. Okay, so this is how the kids fold theirs up. It's mostly just a squish. And for different patterns, you can do different alterations. However, with Anastasia, we have to tighten her elastics as she goes along.
That one was good.
Oh no, that one is good. So once we are finished tying them all, we'll meet you over at the sink for the actual. What are you doing, Ember?
Making the color a bit lighter.
So that we could have 6 colors instead of 3?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So we're just about ready to set up.
Mommy, can I hold a pink?
Hold on. We're just about ready to set up doing the dye. I have a cooling rack over the sink. Ember's getting the dyes situated per instruction, and we're going to start lining the masks up to dye. Make a solid color in dye. It doesn't want to pop off. You put it in the Ziploc baggie. And to darken a color like this blue, I put a couple drops of purple. Woo! Couple drops of purple in.
That's more than a couple drops.
Yeah, that's more than a couple drops. So, we blew it back up, give it a little shake. Dry my hands off because I got dye on them. And you take the mask and put it crease down into the dye.
Mom, my car.
As you can see, the 2 different colors are already splotching on.
That's nice.
That is really nice, actually.
No, shake it off. Shake it, shake it. Shake it.
I don't want to see the drain, Ember.
Sorry.
You squeeze all of the air out of the bag.
Yeah, shake it, baby.
As you can see, it's starting to bleed up.
Shake it.
You want to squeeze it.
Use it, mama. Use it, mama. Oh.
And do this in the bag, covering
Mom.
the entire one. You do
Wow.
covers every inch of the white, and then you let it sit. If the instructions say 6 to 8 hours, longer for darker colors, let it sit overnight for a real nice dark color.
That's what I'm gonna do.
So we'll be back tomorrow to show you how to rinse them out and clean them.
Doing a design on this one, that's why it looks different from the other ones up here, which you'll see. So you fold it in half. So you fold the thing you're dyeing in half. You draw what you're doing in pencil or a washable marker. Then you do the design that you want, and then you cover it in.
And a lot of the times your fabric is going to bleed, so it's not going to be exactly what you drew.
Yes.
So improvisation is key. It's more of an abstract form.
One side's bigger than the other.
You're done applying your dye, You want to stick it in a baggie, Ziploc baggie, all by itself to let it sit.
If you put them all together, then
They bleed into each other.
yeah. Done.
Okay, so when you're working with a little one that wants to dye, help them. You steady them. All right, let's get different pink. You steady them so that you don't have a mess.
And we know that the first pink is too light.
Blue.
I accidentally put too much water in it.
Hold on, purple. Blue? You want blue?
We have lighter colors and then we have the darker.
Okay, let's
Purple
switch
is
to the
harder
darker.
to tell.
Hold
But you
on.
could tell with the blue and the pink.
Papa. Papa.
Okay, we gotta finish our circle. Careful.
I think Bill will like this one.
Stop, Papa.
Okay, dark purple now. So as long as you have a big person helping, whoa, careful. Don't squeeze it. Kids tend to help themselves. So,
What exactly is she doing?
Doing a bit.
she's doing it on her own. And she's being very good about it too.
I'm doing double. You've had me doing double.
So, all that matters is that she has fun. This is a different tie-up job than the majority of them. It's going to leave a different pattern when we unveil them. So, we're going to finish the dyeing process and we'll be back for the washing out and the unveiling tomorrow. Okay, so today is reveal day. We let these sit overnight. So they've been in about 24 hours. And the first thing I do is take them out of their bags.
She might too.
These are my
And I put them again on the same cooling rack,
These are
although I
my two.
washed it.
Then that one is mine. That one is mine too.
Amber's gonna adjust them. So, as not to bore you, as we put them down,
Mama, I want to.
put it down so you don't get the dye on your hands. So as not to bore you, we'll be back when I get them all laid out on the cooling rack. Okay, so now you want to get your water running nice and hot off to the side. Turn the pressure down when you start and use the sprayer on your kitchen sink to rinse out the bulk of the extra dye.
It might take a while.
This process takes quite a while. So we will be back for the next step. In your process of rinsing them out, you're going to want to flip them over and make sure you get all sides. And make sure, you see there's a little bit of dye coming off this one, you want to make sure all the dye stops running before you get to the next step. Now the hot water helps set stains into fabric. So the hotter the water, the better, but if you can't handle a certain heat, so if you can't handle certain temperatures, just go as hot as you can handle. Again, heat holds or sets stains into fabric, and dyeing is stain. Now that you have finished rinsing the dye out, as you can see, it's not really sticking to my hands. You're going to squeeze and there's still going to be a little dye coming off, but it's not going to stain your hands. Now this No, you may not squeeze.
Why?
This
This
is the
is-
solid color.
Yes, this is the solid color. It's a little darker towards the front where the dye went in, but it runs all the way up. Kind of like a fade.
Can I use this one?
These, in the elastic, you're going to get a little more runoff. Give them a quick squeeze and take the elastics off.
This is my second one.
And unfold it to reveal your tie-dye pattern.
Why if I get it down? Look at how my hair.
And yes, my first
Mama,
one.
I want this one.
No, sweetheart, not yet.
Can I read that one, please?
Once you reveal your pattern, you can move on to the next. This is one that Anastasia did all by herself.
Well, it looks like there's white splotches that are actually... I lightened up the pink too much.
Yeah, so it's just a little tinge of pink, but it actually works.
With the lightening up part.
Yeah.
Did you not believe me? Did you?
No, I meant the fact even though you made it too light, it still works. Here's another one that Anastasia did by herself.
I did double.
And then there's this one. See the pleats that I was talking about in the last video? Ooh, this one still has a lot of dye in it.
This is the one I made for my mom.
Okay. Pause. Okay, I'm actually interested to see how this came out because it was folded ever so neatly.
Not neatly.
Mom. Mommy.
That is pretty awesome. Now, as you can see, most of these don't have strings on them because I was waiting until afterwards to put them on, but they're connected at the base of the mask and tied at the top so that you're able to hold them on your face, and you can undo the tie and everything.
I did this one too.
Yeah, this is another one that Ember did. A little bit of yellowing. I don't know what that's from.
That's from the light blue.
Yeah. Nice marble blue on light blue. Okay. This is another one I'm interested to see how it came out.
Mom, whenever she sees me fold something in a weird way and elastic it in an even stranger way, she really wants to see how it turns out.
Yeah, because
I actually did this one for my grandma.
look at that. That is nice. Okay. Here's one that Anna did.
Anna only did 2 masks by herself, and Mom helped her with the rest.
Yeah, I was afraid she was going to get the dye everywhere.
Hey, a blue square.
Okay. Anna's Brilliance.
She chose the colors, you put them in stripes.
Ooh, this one has a lot of dye in it too.
I believe I did that one for Tie Tie.
Yes.
Don't upload this video until they get their masks so they don't get to see ahead of time.
Well, that's why I wasn't saying who they were for, so I'm going to cut that all out. So this is actually pretty nice. With like a Y in front.
I fold masks in strange ways.
This is one that Anna did. Nice shaping. Oh boy. This one's gonna be fun.
Heh 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 heh.
I believe this is the Grandpapa one.
Yep. And the last one's for Panda. I think he'll like it.
And this is how it came out.
For some strange reason, our family really likes the bright and colorful tie-dye.
Okay, so this was the one that Ember was trying to draw Panda on.
The dye leaked too much.
It bled in the fabric. The fabric absorbed it pretty immensely. So,
I did what I could.
we improvised. And this is how it came out.
You still could see some of it, like what I was trying to go for.
So, the next step is to put them. Next step is to put them in a pot, or
Todoroki.
no. Okay, so the next step is to put them in a pot or put them in a washing machine by themselves on a heavy cycle with hot water. If you put them in a pot, just boil some water in the kettle and very carefully cover them up and add a bit of laundry detergent. Anastasia normally likes to help with this bit,
But she got mad and ran off.
so I'm going to see if she wants to come back. Anna, you want to help Mommy? Okay. So we're going to get her to come up. Ember's going to move over a little bit. Grab some tongs because it's hot. You want to mix it around very carefully.
Me.
Okay?
Me.
You want to put some music in the background and then have the words there.
You're going to move it around and agitate it. Okay, at this point, you want to do this for at least 10 minutes. The heat also sterilizes the masks in that 10 minutes. So you want to drain it right onto your cooling rack.
Mommy.
And then put your pot down. Now you run in the water so that it gets hot. And you're going to put it in and put your masks back in.
Here we go for the good part.
And you're going to add a little bit of fabric softener.
I want to do it on something else.
And Anna's going to pour the fabric softener right in. Okay. Now you're going to fill this up You can stir it a little bit as it fills up, but you want to fill the pot up almost all the way, making sure every mask is completely covered. And once you've achieved that, you're going to stir it occasionally, but you're mostly just going to let it soak so that whatever dye is still left in the fabric will leach out into the water. And we only have 2 more steps for the dyeing process and 1 more step after that before we complete our masks. So we'll be back for the next step. Okay, so the final step is the rinse. You want to dump out your fabric softener water. And it doesn't matter what temperature you use for your rinse. However, I like to use the hot just to ensure that the dye sets. Something you want to remember whenever tie-dyeing, you don't want to wash it with other clothes for a few times, because even though you set the dye, there's still extra dye that doesn't wash out right away. And you don't want to stain your clothes. So for the rinse, I just set it in the pot and I let it overflow for a little bit. And once we're done with that, I'll show you the final step to dyeing before we move on to the final step of completing our masks.
Ribbon!
When you're done rinsing it, you want to let it sit in the water until it's cool enough that you can touch it. This way you can do the next step. So the final step to dyeing your mask is the drying process. Now you're going to dump your water out and put your pot off to the side. If you're using a machine, you can just throw them in the dryer on a high heat cycle, or whatever the highest temperature is for the fabric you're using.
But we're not like that.
We're air drying, so we're gonna wring them out. And hang them to dry, or leave them on the cooling rack
And put it somewhere.
and hang it over the sink like we did for the dye process. So once I'm done wringing these all out, the last step to do is to put our ribbons in. And I'm going to show you with one of them how I do that.
I like how you do my ribbon, but you don't do anybody else's.
Yeah, because I was thinking about putting them in the machine, but I'm not spending the money to do that. You could stop recording for now. You have yarn needles work best, but I can't find any of my yarn needles, so I've got this guy. You slip your ribbon through the eye, okay? And you take your ribbon
And
from
you push it through.
from the top, and you push it through, bunching it up eye first. Okay? Then you pull the eye out, leave your ribbon on, and go to the bottom of the other side and do this, and do the same exact thing, bunching it up as you go along. If it's dry, you can straighten it out and bunch it up some more until you're through both sides and your tie is at the top.
And this one is mine.
And that one is Ember's.
Purple on one side, not on the other.
So, the wonderful thing about tie-dye is you don't know how it's going to come out until you wash it out. So I hope you all like this video and find it educational and helpful. And don't forget to subscribe. we're all ready to go down to the workshop and build our anniversary project for the 3rd year anniversary of our video. I'm not going to be posting that video up until closer to our actual anniversary, which is May 27th. So, thank you all for watching, and thank you for the 3 wonderful years.